This is The Clash, where the real world clashes with a true Christian worldview. Join former professional wrestler Chris Whaley, known as the Masked Saint, who is an author, pastor, and teacher that brings his wrestling skills into the squared circle and tackles real-life issues. Along with Jeff Dixon, best-selling author, internationally known teacher, leader, and pastor who is not afraid to tackle the tough issues of the world we live in. Together they form a tag team of wisdom in The Clash.
Welcome to The Clash. We are going to take what is a Christian worldview and allow it to clash into the culture. I'm Jeff Dixon. I'm joined by
Chris Whaley.
And we have a very special guest today, a very good friend of mine, yours, and we're thrilled. We've been trying to get him on the show forever.
Yeah,
and he's finally here. So.
A long time. He's just such a busy guy. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I met him after I got out of wrestling. I had these friends down in Palm Beach, and one day they said, "Hey, do you know?" And they called his name, and I said, "I've heard the name, but I've never met him." And they said, "Well, he brought his son to an event, and they were working that event, and they introduced, themselves to him, and they talked and sent me a picture of him, and then just through that we sort of connected, and then one day he shows up at my house, and we just hit it off. He has an unbelievable story. Now you have, I've known ministers who were also wrestlers. There was even an opera star in California who was a professional wrestler. But Jeff, have you ever heard of a dentist being a professional wrestler?
That's not normally who I'm used to hearing about, but I only know one, the one we're getting ready to talk to.
That's right.
Yeah.
Dr. Jimmy McDowell. Are you the former IAFW champion, or are you the current?
I'm now the AIWF Golden Age champion, so I've held 3 belts for AIWF over the years.
Okay, Jimmy McDowell. Jimmy, it is so great to have you, man. I tell you, I've been looking forward to this for a long time. Not only a dentist, but also in movies, and getting ready to make a movie right here in our area in Mount Dora. So I know that's something good to look forward to.
Over the next few minutes, we're going to talk about all that. If that's okay. I met Jimmy at the first wrestling event that we hosted here at the church. That was the first time we met. Had a great time that night. Got a chance to talk. Seen each other a number of times since then. So fun, good friend, great guy, amazing story. Loves Jesus.
Yep.
And so we're just thrilled, Jimmy, that you're here with us. And again, but I don't know any other dentists that are pro wrestlers. But it's good though, right? It's job security. What did you tell me one time about teeth, and how do you do during the daytime? What do you do at night? How's that work?
Yeah, I had a patient sitting in the chair, and he said, "So doc, you fix teeth by day and you knock them out at night. So you know what? It's job security.
It is. It's job security. There's always more work to be had. So that's fun. That's fun. Well, how did you? And I don't know the answer to this. So I always get nervous when I get ready to ask a question. I have no clue what's coming back. But so how in the world did you get into wrestling to begin with? Where did that start?
I was 7 years old, and in Little Rock, Arkansas. My dad was not a pro wrestling fan. My mom was. She took me to one of my first matches, and Ringo Starr was wrestling Mikita Molkovich, one of the first Russian stars in the late 60s, 70s. And I was up on the ring getting an autograph from Ringo Starr, and out of the blue, Nikita Molkovich charged the side of the ring and knocked me into the first row of bleachers. And from that point on, I knew there would be a day that I'd be a wrestler. I didn't know when, and it happened later on in life, obviously, but from that point on, I was hooked. I already knew I was going to be a dentist at 6, 7 years old, but at that point, I knew I was going to be a wrestler at some point too.
Wow. Who trained you? When did you get into pro wrestling, and who trained you?
A couple different times in my life. I was a four-year starter in college, started every game for 4 years in college as a football player, and went to the summer of my junior year out to Western Oklahoma to work in the oil field. And Danny Hodge was, big in the 70s and 80s. I think you met, obviously, one of the strongest, physically amazing, 5% body fat men you'll ever know. But some of his guys in Western Oklahoma were my first introduction to wrestling, and working in the oil fields, working out at night, lifting weights, and then spending some time in the gym. Fast forward to dental school, went to LSU Dental School, and some of my first patients were professional wrestlers. They found out that I loved it, but they also knew that I'd trained a little bit. And a lot of the guys from WWE and WCW found out, and over the time, they started help training me also.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. So tell us some of the folks that you've worked against.
Oh my goodness. NWA heavyweight champ, Tommy Rich, worked with Buff Bagwell, and I think you recently talked to Buff, and we enjoyed, our match together. Barbarian, the Warlord, Cahagas, a lot of guys. And the analogy I used in a podcast 2 nights ago, Major League Baseball players that are injured go down to A ball or double A ball or triple A ball to work their, fitness back up to the major leagues. Back in the day, there was not really a true way for people that were in the profession to go and retrain unless they went to really South Florida. And a lot of the guys came down to the CCW area, Florida Championship Wrestling, and did some training to get back, on the big circuit, and met a lot of the guys then. And when they are in need, they find out I'm a dentist. So, now the word gets out, and I've met a lot of really nice people, not only in need, but just really nice, amazing wrestlers over time also.
Mm-hmm. Which one do you enjoy the most, dentistry or professional wrestling?
My family likes dentistry, and you get accolades. You make a beautiful smile, and I've always wanted to do that. And being one of the top 1% cosmetic surgeons, cosmetic dentists in the United States, my practice had people from the NBA, the NFL, Major League. Every major sport. I have Hall of Famers. I have people that you'd recognize in a heartbeat. And I don't care about HIPAA. I don't care about HIPAA. We'll blow that off. Bill Parcells. Joe Namath. Chuck Daly. A lot of the guys that are standard household names. Coach Parcells comes in, and I still call him Coach, but I actually now call him 270. I call him 274. He was the 274th person put in the NFL Hall of Fame. He said, McDowell, I'm not 274. I looked it up. I'm 273. So, we always have banter back and forth. And it's just some great people in the South Florida area. I now spend a little bit more time in Orlando area doing a lot of travel dentistry. I sold my practice during COVID, private practice of 30 years. And I love going to see patients who need my services, hospitals, nursing homes, rehab facilities. They can't get up, they can't get out, and I'm there to fit a need.
Right. I got to tell this story. I'm friends with Jeff Jarrett, and Jeff Jarrett works for AEW, and he had invited me over to a show in Tampa, and Dr. Jimmy was also invited over there, so we just met up and rode over there, and Jimmy got to meet, what's her name, Baker?
Brittany Baker.
Yeah, Brittany Baker, who is also a dentist. So you had 2 dentists who were professional wrestlers. Yeah. But I got to tell the story. He met this guy that night who does the rings, and he's missing a bunch of teeth. His mouth looked horrible. And, Jimmy's talking to him, and I didn't really get into that. But the next AEW event that we went to was one right here in Orlando over at UCF. And Jimmy and I met over there. And here's that guy that does the ring, and he's smiling from ear to ear. And his mouth just looks great. And Jimmy said, "Did I do a good job on that?" And I said, "You did a great job."
Wow.
So he not only is a dentist professional, but he also got a big heart.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, you know the thing about it, it was one of my taglines when I had my private practice. You know, a beautiful smile is always in style, and it is. But not only that, when we're in the ring, you ask what's my favorite. I get accolades, you know, from a smile, but a pat on the back from a granny or a 5-year-old kid or a dad who wanted to be in the ring but you know never was. Those nights are less frequent now than they have been in the past. I am doing a lot of traveling now. I'm doing more international wrestling than I am locally. I'm going back to Cameroon, going to Japan, going to South and Central America, going to Colombia, back to Jamaica. One of my birthdays is coming up in March, and my family is leaning toward me slowly slowing down, if that's correct English. But the one thing I do want to do is there's a lot of places I want to travel before, and I'll take one of those paid vacations anytime they give it to me.
Yeah. You worked in Africa against the champion from Africa last year?
Yeah, I was the first American wrestler ever in Cameroon, and they not only invited me back, they didn't tell me. They just put out that I'm actually going back in April. So I'm taking another guy as I pass the torch. His name was the Animal. He was 6'8", 3 1/4, and it was a good match. It was a good match.
Well, wait, but if you're going to go there in April, we just published that you're going to be with us in April. What? How's that going to work? No, I'm just kidding. But again, so you're talking about slowing down. I mean, what is the wear and tear like for you? Has it been like? I mean, have you been fortunate enough not to be injured a lot, or do you spend a lot of time having to take some time off and rehab injuries? What's your career been like?
You know, I played college football at 228, and not very long thereafter, I bulked up to 318. I was bench pressing 495. The starting nose tackle for the Miami Dolphins was Chuck Klingbeil at the time, and I was bench pressing 20 pounds more than the starting nose guard for the Miami Dolphins, and had bulked up. In 1991, I met Vince McMahon, had dinner with him for the first time, and Georgia Animal Steel. Most people don't know George Steele was an absolute amazing man. He was a PhD English major. He was a high school teacher. And they said, you know, we were interested in, you know, some full time. And at the time we had 3-year-old twins. I just started a dental practice. I knew that really wasn't going to be part of my life. I had to bow out and do more, independent circuit. Came back later to do more. But the main thing is to be able to know what you are hurting. You know, my hands are my moneymaker. And one of my first heavyweight championships that I won was the night that I fractured my sternum, broke 4 ribs, and collapsed both lungs. And it was a three-way fatal three-way match. And they kicked me out of the ring, not knowing that I really was hurt. The guy threw a swanton and crushed my chest. Well, now it's time to go back in. And I'm thinking, I feel my chest doing this. I don't know the extent, and I'm trying to get back in the ring. I get in the ring, roll him up, and now they give me the belt and they give me a microphone. I have no oxygen. They say, we need a 30-second promo. So after the promo with barely any air coming out, I get out of the ring, I get behind the closed doors and basically pass out. All my family had come in from across the country to watch the championship match, and they trauma hawked me out of there. That was probably my worst injury.
And I tell you that's brutal. I want to come back. We're gonna take a quick break here. We're gonna come back and talk a little bit more about kind of what you're doing, because what you're doing is a pretty powerful ministry. As you're traveling and going to people, you're taking dentistry on the road. That's powerful. Yeah. But I also want to talk a little bit about the movies and what's going on now, because you are, as the family says, slowly transitioning out into something else. And so we want to kind of talk about that a little bit, if we can. So don't go anywhere, Jimmy. Folks, if you're watching, don't go anywhere. We're going to pay a few bills here, and then we'll be right back after this break. In the Bible, church is called the body of Christ. Hopefully you have a place that you call home when it comes to church. And hopefully you attend there and hopefully you find a connection with other people. But also we live in a world where we are connected digitally and online. You're more than welcome to come visit the church at 434. That's where Chris Whaley and I are part of that staff. The website, touchandchange.net, touchandchange.net. Use the QR code to get there. You'll find all sorts of resources that will help you in your journey of faith. We look forward to seeing you at the church at 434. Hi, thanks for not leaving during the break because, well, I'm obviously trying to get you to buy something. I really am. If you're anything like me, middle of summer, sometimes it gets really hot. We film here in Florida, it's hot all the time. And every once in a while, you'd like to take a little bit of a break. Get a little Christmas spirit going in your life. If so, I have a suggestion for you. I have written a novella based upon the characters that show up in my novels. It's called Then Christmas Happens. It's available in the exclusive paperback edition, the collectible hardback edition, or if you're lazy like I am and you want someone to read to you, you can also get this book on Audible in about an hour and 10, 15 minutes. Hear it, read it, and get a little Christmas magic happening in your life. To get it, you have to go to Amazon, look up My Name Jeff Dixon, and then let Christmas happen in your life. Hey there, stop whatever you're doing right now. Get your phone out and go ahead and aim it right here at the screen at the QR code right in front of you. Because I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, hey, I'm having such a great time watching The Clash, but there's been some episodes that I've missed. Well, if you take a picture of that QR code and follow it to the website, you're going to discover all the episodes of The Clash that you might have missed on a channel called The Church at 434 in Motion. 434 in Motion has that and a lot of other resources, and we would love for you to catch back up on what you've missed. Every day there's brand new programming that comes out, and we want you to be a part of it. Now, hey, relax, it doesn't cost you a dime. It costs you a little bit of time, but it's well worth it because it's time well spent. Actually, it's almost like you're making money at it. So use the QR code, come find us, see the episodes of The Clash that you missed, and let's get back to the show.
Hey, I'm Chris Whaley. I went from professional wrestling for 10 years, wrestling some of the biggest names in the business, 4 world champions, and I left the wrestling world to become a pastor. And I wrote a book about that transition because when I became a pastor, I found out that there were some people being abused and people being mistreated. And I ended up dealing with some people more as a professional wrestler than I did as a pastor. And I wrote a book about that transition called The Masked Saint. And it's available along with my other book, which is Harold's Heavenly Christmas. If you like Christmas stories, you're going to love this one, and one day it's going to be a movie. And then my last book is Mr. President. Has 2 lives, a comedian and the World Heavyweight Wrestling Champion. And it is a great read.
Welcome back. I'm sitting here with 2 doctors, my favorite 2 doctors right here in the house, and we're going to continue our conversation. Jimmy, as we were kind of moving out, we've been talking about wrestling. I want to kind of move the conversation over a little bit. We were talking in the break. Talk a little bit about your journey of faith. I mean, I know a little bit about it. We've talked about it a little bit before, but share with our audience your walk with Jesus just a little bit.
You know, I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in Arkansas, where really I always say the 3 F's. It's football, family, food, and then faith. You know, we always had a bonding around those. And every Sunday, there was no question where you're going to be. It was always going to be in Bible class. It was going to be in church. At 15 years old, I became a Christian at a Camp Wildwood in Arkansas. I was a little bit stubborn. I knew that I needed to be a Christian before then, but I probably by the time I was 12 or 13, I knew the answer, but I waited. Went to a Christian college in Arkansas, went to Harding University in Searcy, Arkansas, NAIA Division I school at the time. They just won the NCAA D2 championship, undefeated, 14-0 last year. They're averaging 59 points a game now, ranked in the top 5 again this year. But growing up in a Christian family, my dad was a deacon. My mom was always a Bible school teacher. My sister, we love the Lord. And having 4 daughters and a son now, it's just they're a blessing. I just came back. We had early Christmas today. I know it's November the 3rd, but all my family came in from across the country, and we had a beautiful time in prayer and eating and opening presents, and it's just a beautiful time. To be a Christian in this profession, Chris knows, is few and far between, but I think the momentum is swinging. I think as people are getting the opportunity to not have to travel 5 to 7 nights a week and do house shows all across the country, I think one of the major leagues just stopped house shows. I think you heard that, Chris. So to be able to have more time for family, to have more time for healing, like Jeff was saying earlier, we're not going to be as injured as much. But in my transition, I know that in a wrestling move, in acting, I can have a stunt double if I need it. I'm not going to get hurt. That's the best thing about it. I really enjoy the fact that I can not have to have injuries in acting.
Yeah.
Well, I saw something with Orange County. It was a big meeting there, and of course, Mayor Demings was there, and you got to speak before them about bringing movies to Central Florida. Is that right? And so, real quickly, tell us about the movie part of Jimmy's life and the big movie that you got coming up in Mount Dora.
Yeah, several years ago, I'm walking during the Christmas season. Mount Dora is truly a Hallmark town. In the back of my mind, I literally nicknamed it Mount Adorable. And over the last couple of years, I've been developing a movie. The script is written, the cast is coming out, some amazing people that you know the names of, but we want to make sure they're signed on the dotted line. But it's going to be called A Christmas in Mount Adorable. My heart is Christmas. Last night I'm doing paperwork and I have the Hallmark Channel on with Christmas. I know that my genre is I've done Christmas movies, but where I was the killer Santa. I've been astronauts. I've been all these different personas. But if I could make the rest of my life in a Christmas movie, which is sort of my intent, it's going to be something that would be very, very powerful. We can share. You think of Candace Cameron Bure. She's made her life, second part of her life, as a Hallmark Christmas person, and these people are really looking forward to hanging out with people that are diverse, and I think I fall in that category.
And you and I are probably available, aren't we? I mean, to step up if you're needing some schmo. To clean the street or something like that. I mean, we come as a pair, so don't hesitate to give us a call. I mean, your people can call our people. That'd be great.
Can you make snow?
We'll figure that out. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
I had dinner with him a few weeks ago, and he told me the possibility of the leading lady, and I'm not gonna give her name, but if you need someone to kiss her in the movie, I'll get my wife's permission.
Oh gosh!
She is gorgeous.
Yeah. Your wife is an amazing lady. She's a saint beyond saint.
She is.
Chris retired from wrestling and he was around wrestling because obviously his amazing movie, The Masked Saint, but he made a return appearance a couple years ago, and he asked me to be his tag team partner in his return appearance. And probably one of the greatest, I totally accepted that responsibility because I'm thinking, is he protecting me or I'm protecting him? But, to be in a tag team coming from a background of, singles, individual wrestling, and tag, we worked it pretty good. We took it home. I believe we might have even won that night. Good job.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Oh, that was a great night. That was a lot of fun.
It was. All right. Yeah. And I'm sure we can cut that. I can talk to Mark, our director, producer, and we'll cut the part out where I said I could kiss your leading lady. I don't think Bernard.
Oh, you're fine.
Or for me as a pastor, that really now is also job security. I have someone else to counsel with now, so I will be taking care of that.
Yeah. Hey, she's been married to me almost 50 years, so she's not shocked by anything, I can tell you.
Yes, she's the unmasked saint, though. You were right. She is a saint. There's no doubt about it. I mean, she puts up with him, so we're pretty good there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
no doubt. Now, so obviously the movies are next. Movie on the horizon here. Is that really the goal for you then, or are you going to try to make that jump?
It is. As I'm making the jump, people are coming to me now with more roles. I heard there's a really great book out there, Harold's Heavenly Christmas. It'd be amazing to be a part of that movie. Thank you, Chris. But everybody signs package deals, and I've mentioned that many times because they don't want you just for one role. They want you for 3 or 4 or 5 movies in a row because they can just click them off. Filming most Christmas movies are in Canada. I want to film in Florida. We can bring the industry back, and it won't take much. People want to be down here. Atlanta is on the slide. Obviously, LA is always going to be LA, Hollywood, but it's not the glamour 100% that we could take part of that glory and bring it back to Florida. I'm looking. We got Tampa, you've got Daytona, Orlando, Miami. We got so many beautiful state parks, so many city-looking areas. As a matter of fact, our first scene in Christmas in Mount Adorable is a New York coffee shop, but it's filmed in Mount Dora because part of Mount Dora even looks like New York. So it's going to be an amazing shoot coming up.
That's
Fantastic. And when does that all start? I mean, do you have a time frame on that yet?
Yeah, matter of fact, December, just got the email today. I'm trying to emphasize acting more. I'm not going to do as much producing and executive producing and all the other hats I used to wear. It's a 117-page script, and I have 400 lines of script that I have to memorize, and I'm using some memory medicine. I've got to be able to deliver. And matter of fact, sorry, I take another second. I've got a new acting coach. His name's Jordan Woods Robinson, and he comes from Walking Dead, Blue Man Group, and he's working with me on I can power through things. In wrestling, you're wrestling to the top row. You're wrestling to, all these in movies, you're right here. You're 18, 24, 16, you're so close, and every little twitch is just magnified. And that's the thing that people in wrestling are nuanced. You take a punch and you sell it. Well, that's not subtle, and they're looking for little subtle things. That my coach is amazing, and maybe one day y'all need a acting coach on your show. We'll get you on. We'll get him on for you.
That's awesome. Well, I tell you what, you're the champ, man. I am thrilled to death that you've been here today, and I'm thrilled to death that we finally got an opportunity to talk. We have to do this again soon, whenever. I mean, I tell you what we need to do. We need to get you back on after the film is done. You got it in the can, and let's have him back, and let's kind of pump the film a little bit, and let folks know what you do. If you'd like to do that, we would love to do that. Yeah. That'd be great.
Yeah.
So
my director is from Apopka. Is Scott Christensen. He's an amazing Christian man. To find the right people to be in any aspect of your life, whether it be wrestling or dentistry or acting, when you can hang around Christians, life is that much better.
Yeah,
it is.
Amen.
It is. Well, man, Jimmy, I'm excited. Thank you so much. Yeah. It's great to see you today. Thanks for being with us. I know our audience is going to love you, and they'll be looking for you. I mean, they'll be paying attention. They're smart folks, and they put up with us.
Right.
So you make us look better.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Chris, we got to get out of here.
Yep.
Anything we need to tell our audience before we leave?
Well, I hope you smile bright, and I hope you don't camp out.